All right, first question's always the easiest. Can I get your first and last name spelled for me, please?
Yes, Lisa Rasmussen, LISARASMUSSEN.
And then what is your position on this committee?
I am the chairman of the Public Health and Safety Committee.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about, what you guys voted on today as far as the miniature pigs and allowing them as pets?
Well, at the Humane Officer's request, because she's encountered them in some homes already in the city, we were asked to consider an ordinance to issue a permit for people to have miniature pigs, sometimes referred to in pop culture as purse pigs, miniature pet, normally about the size of an average sized dog. Apparently they're already in our midst, and so what we did was some research to find out how other communities handle this, if they have permits. There's a few that do, but not very many. The first time Wausau considered an urban chicken ordinance, there was an awful lot of public pushback, and that's what's happening with this miniature pig thing too. The community clearly doesn't support it. The pushback has been very negative to having those animals. I think they view them as farm animals, and just not something that should coexist in an urban setting. But separate from that, it was revealed in the research that a lot of times miniature pigs that people think they're buying really aren't. And so because those animals can be bred at a really young age, people will breed them prematurely, and then when people go to buy the young ones, say, well, look how small the parents are, and realize they weren't fully grown to begin with. So when that animal matures, it is way more than the owner bargained for. And so, that said, to permit them really is kind of implicitly, maybe condoning that type of breeding and behavior. And so there were some concerns on the committee about that, but also that, whether or not that animal is appropriate for an urban domestic setting. And tonight they decided it's not, so there won't be a mini pig ordinance or permit coming anytime soon.
So then what happens when the humane officer comes across a pig in a home?
Well, what happens is what would always have happened under city ordinance. Pigs were viewed as prohibited creatures. They were as like farm animals, and so people were not allowed to harbor them in the city. And so what we would have passed tonight, or what was proposed tonight, was really an enabling provision to allow people to get them or have them with a permit. But there was just no interest in that in the committee tonight. And within the community, we've had a fair amount of negative response and pushback to people and from people, and they're just not interested in allowing them at this point. So it could be a difficult conversation with owners who've gone out and gotten them and didn't know that they're prohibited, but they always have been. And tonight we just did not create an ordinance to enable that to happen.
So, so does it stop here? Is there anything else that needs to be voted on? Is it just?
It stops here. It's a failed item. It failed unanimously, and we would not take it to council.
Do you have any other questions?
Is there any way this could maybe be reworked and brought back, or is it just dead?
Someday. What happened with urban chickens was that, years ago we considered it, we voted it down, we decided not to do it, and then about 6 years later, when the practice became more accepted in urban settings and communities had more experience with it, the second time we researched, a lot of cities allow urban chicken keeping. Same thing with urban beekeeping. We have that in Wausau. And so sometimes it's just a matter of whether or not the community and other communities in Wisconsin are ready for that type of process. And with this one, it seems that we are not. But, with the urban chickens, I think public thinking had evolved quite a bit. And I think the experience with it in communities was positive. Everyone that we talked to had no issues with them, and it was much easier to approve that because there was a volume of experience that we could tap other cities for and find out what challenges they faced when they did it, so that we could maybe, get it right on the front end. And we've had no complaints on our chicken permits, but this just seemed like it was a little bit of a bridge too far, and so they decided not to do it tonight.